$15 million per day. That's what it cost OpenAI to keep the Sora app running. Servers, energy, GPU compute, every single day. Now guess how much that app generated in its entire lifetime? Every purchase, every subscription, everything. $2.1 million total. The app burned through more money on a random Tuesday than it made in its entire existence. And on March 24, 2026, it was gone. Not restructured, not pivoted, not acquired, gone. 6 words posted on X. We're saying goodbye to the Sora app. No press conference, no investor call, no apology, no explanation. For 2 years of work and billions in burned compute, 6 words on social media. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what happened, why it happened, and what it means for every AI company operating right now. Because this collapse is not the end of AI video, but it is the beginning of something much more important and much darker for the industry as a whole. Let's start at the very beginning, because to understand why Sora died, you need to understand how it was born. February 2024. OpenAI drops the first public preview of Sora, a text-to-video model that could generate cinematic footage from a single typed sentence. The demo videos were genuinely stunning. Woolly mammoths walking through snow, neon-lit Tokyo streets at night, a woman walking through a city in the rain. Visual effects that Hollywood spends millions on, from a text prompt. The clips were smooth, cinematic, and they made creative professionals genuinely nervous. Film editors, motion graphic designers, VFX artists, people who spent years building their craft were sitting at their computers watching these demos and quietly asking themselves the same question. Is this the beginning of the end for my career? That was the intended reaction. And it worked. The internet convinced itself that Sora would change everything. Film, advertising, content creation, every industry that touched video, all of it. But here's a detail almost no one remembers now. For almost a full year after those February 2024 demos, Sora didn't exist as a real product. It existed only in imagination. Demo clips on YouTube, Twitter threads from researchers, breathless articles in every tech publication on Earth. You couldn't use it. You couldn't access it. It was pure anticipation. And OpenAI let that anticipation build for months. Then came September 2025. Sora 2 launches as a full standalone consumer app, TikTok-style vertical video feed, entirely AI-generated content, available to anyone. Day 1, it hits the top of the iOS App Store's photo and video category. Access codes were trading like concert tickets. Tech influencers were posting their invite codes online. People were waiting days just to get in. This looked like a historic moment in technology. And for about 48 hours, it felt like one. But something was already broken underneath the surface. And it was going to be fatal. November 2025, 2 months in. Sora reports 3 million total downloads across iOS and Google Play. Every tech newsletter runs that number. Every AI podcast covers it. Sora is a hit. The future of video is here. OpenAI does it again. Nobody reads the fine print, because 3 months later, February 2026, monthly downloads had collapsed to 1 million. That's a 66% drop in 90 days, not slowing growth, not a plateau, an absolute freefall. Users came, they generated a few videos, they showed their friends, and then they left. They didn't come back the next day. They didn't come back the next week. The product could not give users a single compelling reason to return. That's not a marketing problem. That's not a pricing problem. That is the most fundamental failure a consumer product can experience. And now, the math gets truly brutal. Independent estimates put Sora's daily inference costs at $15 million. That's the cost of running the servers, processing the GPU compute, generating videos for a user base that was shrinking by the day. 15 million. Every single day. Now. Total lifetime revenue from in-app purchases across the entire life of the product. $2.1 million. Let that sit for a full second. In a single day, Sora burned through more than 7 times its total lifetime revenue. To close that gap, one of exactly 2 things needed to happen. Option 1, 1,000 times reduction in inference costs. That's not hyperbole. That's the actual math. And with current GPU hardware and current model architecture, it is physically impossible. We are not close. We are not approaching it. It cannot happen. Option 2. Charge users hundreds of dollars per month. And no consumer AI app, not one, has ever successfully extracted that kind of recurring revenue from regular people. Both exits were locked. The math was broken from the very first day of the product launch. And here's the part that makes this story even worse. People inside OpenAI knew it. This wasn't a surprise revelation discovered 6 months in. The unit economics were visible from launch day. The cost per video generated, divided by the maximum subscription price any consumer would realistically pay, was never close to working. Someone ran those numbers. Someone saw them. And the product launched anyway. Now here's where this story gets genuinely insane. Because in the middle of a collapsing download curve and a cost structure with no solution, OpenAI makes the biggest partnership announcement in the company's history. December 2025. OpenAI and Disney announce a 3-year licensing deal. Over 200 Disney characters licensed for Sora-generated content. Mickey Mouse, Marvel, Pixar, Star Wars. The most valuable intellectual property portfolio on the planet. Available inside Sora. And Disney committed to a $1 billion equity investment in OpenAI. One of OpenAI's own executives reportedly described this as, quote, a cinematic sea change on par with the end of the silent film era. It sounded like the story had turned, like Sora had found its path. But look at what was actually happening underneath that headline. OpenAI needed a story, something to justify the continued investment in a product with broken economics. And Disney provided exactly that. A billion-dollar headline that gave everyone permission to stop asking hard questions. Disney, meanwhile, needed a story of its own. The studio has been under pressure to demonstrate it understands AI and won't be left behind. An OpenAI partnership checked that box publicly. Both companies were using each other to paper over the same fundamental problem. Nobody had actually figured out why a regular person would pay to use Sora every single week. The deal was a beautiful distraction. It was not a solution. And 3 months later, the bill came due. March 24th. Sam Altman tells his team, shut it down, all of it. And here's the detail that tells you everything about how this decision was actually made. According to the Wall Street Journal, Disney found out the Sora app was shutting down less than 60 minutes before the public announcement. Less than 60 minutes. A company that had verbally committed to a $1 billion investment. 60 minutes notice. That is not a managed wind down. That is not a strategic pivot. That is a panic. An executive decision made fast, made internally, and executed with almost no warning to anyone, including a billion-dollar partner. $0 ever changed hands. The deal died the same day it became irrelevant. There's a third piece of this collapse that almost nobody is covering. And it might be the one that actually forced the final decision. Moderation. One of Sora's flagship features let users scan their own face, using the phone camera, to create a personalized AI avatar. A digital twin that could appear in any video, any scenario, any context. For creators, that sounds useful. For regulators, lawyers, and anyone thinking about accountability, it's a nightmare. The app was almost immediately criticized for making it trivially easy to generate convincing deepfakes. Public figures' likenesses were being replicated without consent. The line between creative expression and weaponized disinformation was not just blurry, it was invisible. And here's where this gets serious from a business standpoint. Every single video generated by Sora was a potential lawsuit waiting to happen. Every platform feature was a potential regulatory battle in a jurisdiction somewhere in the world. And the legal exposure compounds faster than any engineering team can build safeguards. OpenAI was already fighting multiple copyright infringement lawsuits from publishers, authors, and music labels. It was deep in IPO preparation, a process that demands financial clarity and minimal legal liability. And it was pursuing enterprise contracts worth hundreds of millions of dollars, with companies that cannot have their names attached to deepfake scandals. Sora was a slow-burning bomb with no off switch, and every day it ran, the bomb got bigger. Meanwhile, Anthropic was quietly doing the exact opposite of everything Sora represented. No consumer social apps, no viral demos, no billion-dollar entertainment partnerships. Anthropic was building Claude Code, a suite of tools specifically designed for software engineers and enterprise teams. Quiet, focused, priced for professionals with real budgets and real recurring workflows. The contrast was striking. OpenAI had its best engineering talent and its most expensive compute tied up building a TikTok that nobody kept using. Anthropic was building infrastructure that developers actually opened every morning. One of those is a business. The other was a bet. And the bet lost. Fidji Simo, OpenAI's applications chief, had already been warning employees internally to cut what she called side quests. Sora was a side quest. 2 years of work. Billions in burned compute. A collapsed Disney partnership. A moderation liability that couldn't be contained. And at the end of it, 6 words on X. The compute that powered Sora has been redirected. Enterprise AI, agentic systems, coding tools, products where the customer has a clear reason to pay every single month. If you stored any work inside Sora, any videos, any projects, any saved generations, export everything right now. The app went dark on April 26th. The web version followed the same day. And the Sora API itself shuts down completely on September 24th, 2026. There is no recovery window after that, no migration path, no way to retrieve anything. Everything you created inside Sora will be permanently gone. Now before you walk away thinking AI video is finished, it isn't. Runway is still running. Google's Veo 3 is still running. Kling is still running. Because they understood something Sora never did. They're not trying to be a consumer social platform. They're building professional tools. APIs priced at roughly 50 cents per 10-second clip, targeted at studios, advertising agencies, and production companies. Organizations with real workflows, real budgets, and a genuine recurring reason to generate video professionally. That's not a subtle difference. That's the entire difference. Sora tried to become the TikTok of AI video. A viral feed powered by an AI engine, monetized through casual consumer subscriptions. The others are building picks and shovels for the professionals who need to produce at scale. One of those is a consumer entertainment bet. The other is a B2B infrastructure business. In the current compute environment, where generating high-quality video costs what it costs, only one of those models can possibly work. And the market just told us which one. So what does all of this actually mean? Let me be direct about the lesson here, because it applies far beyond Sora. Hype is not retention. Downloads are not revenue. Impressions are not a business model. OpenAI had 2 full years of runway, billions in available compute, the most recognized AI brand on the planet, a partnership with the most recognizable entertainment IP on the planet. And it still wasn't enough to survive broken unit economics, because at the end of every hype cycle, the same question waits. Who is paying? And why do they keep paying? Not at launch. Not during the press tour. Not when the access codes are trading like concert tickets. 6 months later. 12 months later. On a random Tuesday afternoon when there's no announcement and no demo, do your users open your product? Do they pay again? Do they need you? Sora never had an honest answer to that question. And right now, today, there are dozens of AI startups burning through venture capital running the exact same broken equation. Impressive demos, TechCrunch coverage, enormous waitlists, partnerships announced with fanfare, and no clear answer to why a real person would pay them 6 months from now. Glamour is not a business model. The companies that survive this next phase of AI won't be the ones with the most viral product announcements. They'll be the ones who can answer that one brutally simple question with specific numbers and a clear mechanism. Sora could not. And now it's gone. The next collapse is already building somewhere right now. The math is already broken. The runway is already shorter than it looks. You just don't know which company yet. If this kind of analysis, the real economics underneath the headlines, not just the hype, is valuable to you, subscribe, because this is exactly what I'm going to keep bringing you. The next Sora is already out there. We're going to see it coming before everyone else does.